Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Faidatun Nasikha from the 5th semester, and this video was made to fulfill the final examination of ESP course. And in this video, I will explain about ESP and types of ESP. ESP is English for specific purpose, and the first, I will explain about the meaning of ESP. ESP is material English language teaching which focus on preparing learners for chosen communicative environments. An ESP course could be must have some absolute characteristic, has been designed for learners' need, is definitely language course and must be taught by a language teacher, has been related to the discipline it serves in terms of methodology. ESB can be started with beginners, but ideally could be started with adult, intermediate, or advanced learners. And the next, I will explain about types of ESP, but I will explain by PPT. Presentation text. So I will begin. Okay, the next is types of ESP. According to David Carter, 1983, types of ESP any three types of ESP. The first is English as a restricted language. The second is English for academic and occupational purposes, and the last is English with specific topics. Okay, the first is English as a restricted language. Mackey and Montfort, 1978, clearly illustrate the difference between restricted language and language with this statement. The language of international air traffic control could be regarded as special in the sense that the repertoire required by the controller is strictly limited and can be accurately determined situationally, as might be the linguistic needs of a dining room waiter or air hostess. However, such restricted repertoires are not language, just a tourist press book is not grammar. However, such restricted repertoires are not language, just as a tourist press book is not grammar. Knowing a restricted language would not allow the speaker to communicate effectively in novel situations or in context outside the vocational environment. The language used by air traffic controllers or by waiters are examples of English as a restricted language. And the second is English for academic and occupational purposes. The second type of ESP identified by Carter is English for academic and occupational purposes. In the tree of ELT, Hudson and Waters, ESP is broken down into three branches. E. English for Science and Technology or EST. B. English for Business and Economic or EBE, and C. English for Social Studies or ESS. Each of these subject areas further divide into two branches, English for Academic Purposes or EAP and English for Occupational Purposes or EOP. An example of EOP for the EST branch is English for Technicians, whereas an example of EOP for the EST branch is English for Medical Studies. Hutchinson and Waters do note that there is not a clear-cut distinction between EAP and EOP. People can work and study simultaneously It's also likely that in many cases the language learned for immediate use in a study environment will be used later when student takes up or returns to a job. Perhaps this explains Carter's rationale for categorizing EAP and EOP under the same type of ESP. It appears that Carter is implying that the end purpose of both ESP and EOP are one in the same employment. However, despite the end purpose being identical, the means taken to achieve the end is very different indeed. I contend that EAP and EOP are different in terms of focus on combination of cognitive academic proficiency versus basic interpersonal skills. And the last is English with specific topics. The final and the third types of ESP is English with specific topics. Carter notes there is only here where emphasis shifts from purpose to topic. This type of ESP is uniquely concerned with anticipated future English needs of, for example, scientists requiring English for postgraduate reading studies, attending conferences, or working in foreign institutions. However, I argue that this is not a specific type of ESP, rather it is an integral component of ESP courses or programs which focus on situational language. This, this, this situational language has been determined based on the interpretation of results from needs analysis of authentic language used in target workplace settings. Okay, that's all for me about ESP and types of ESP, and I hope it can be useful for you and for me especially, and I apologize if I make mistake for this from this video. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.